From 007 being a robot,
Hello.
to Silva actually being Pierce Brosnan's Bond.
Of course.
Here are the weirdest James Bond theories that actually make a lot of sense. The name's Bond. Robot Bond. That's not how it goes. Or should it? What if Bond is actually some type of artificial intelligence? Like a robot? After all, he performs amazing feats that seem impossible to any mere mortal. So maybe he's able to do all of these things because he's been programmed to. Also, being given a license to kill feels like an incredibly dehumanizing experience.
I never miss.
You're told that you can go out into the field and take out people if you deem it fit for your mission. Considering the number of people Bond has slain in the movies, how does he sleep at night? He doesn't seem to bat an eyelid every time he has to put a bullet in someone, appearing as if he has no conscience. Sure, it's possible to train a human to be a killing machine, but it makes more sense to use a robot for this since they're much easier to control in the long run. Maybe the code in Bond allows him to believe he's a sentient human being when everyone else knows he's not? This is really starting to sound like how Westworld was created. For the longest time, fans have wondered if James Bond might not have a little something extra in his DNA. He seems to survive every single gunfight he's in, manages to wreck cars and walk away still standing, and he doesn't even take too much time off to recover from his injuries. So, what if Bond is more than human? Say, a superhuman?
The thought had occurred to me.
Maybe MI6 knows that he's really a superhero and chooses him for the toughest missions, because they know he's the only one who can get the job done without becoming a casualty. The question is, would his superpower be more like Superman's invincibility or Wolverine's healing factor? It's probably the latter here, since it still looks like he feels the pain, if only momentarily. But hey, not all heroes wear capes. Some actually strut around in expensive suits. Now, can we all take a moment to address the fact that Bond is simply the worst spy in the whole wide world?
Yes. Considerably.
He's sent in under very strict orders and with clear instructions, but he either ends up getting caught or hooking up with a villain's significant other and compromising the entire mission. Under any normal circumstances, he'd be booted from MI6 for insubordination and being, well, totally terrible at his job. Yet, he always seems to get away with his lax behavior and returns for the next adventure. But maybe that's part of the plan. Hear us out for a second. There's a bizarre theory floating around that Bond is actually a doomed spy. Basically, MI6 knows he's rubbish at what he does, so they use him as an intentional decoy. They bank on the fact he'll get caught, so this allows the opportunity for the real MI6 superstars to do their work, while everyone is too concerned and focused on Bond. It makes a lot of sense, though it's kinda sad to think of Bond as nothing more than cannon fodder, where no one really cares if he lives or dies. And speaking of which, the one thing that Bond can do to make sure he sees another day is to not ingest any poison, which interestingly enough is the most common and useful way in which people exterminate their enemies. Please don't ask us how we know this piece of information. But how does someone like Bond ensure he's always on the safe side of situations? Actually, it's quite simple if you believe this theory. The reason he chooses to drink his martinis this way
Shaken, not stirred.
is because it actually helps to take the drink from tasty to tasteless. This way, he'll be able to tell immediately if he's been poisoned and take corrective action if he needs to. It's a plausible theory because if his drink is bland, he'll know in a second if something nefarious has been added to it. The things we do to make sure that people don't poison us. To many fans, Sean Connery will always be Bond, even though he last played the famous spy in Never Say Never Again. Or did he? According to several fan theories doing the rounds in the interwebs, Sean's final performance as 007 could have been in Michael Bay's The Rock. But wait, was that ever mentioned? And how is it even possible, you might ask? Well, if you think about it for a while, his character John Mason could have easily been Bond in disguise.
Shocking.
Not much was known about John, making him quite the enigma on screen. In fact, another character even said, "This man has no identity, not in the United States or Great Britain. He does not exist." John was also highly organized and knew how to get in and out of some tricky situations. So it isn't outside of the realm of possibility that he was secretly Bond and sent in to complete this mission. Well, that certainly makes The Rock more exciting to think of as a Bond movie, doesn't it? Thinking about the previous theory, it would make sense if more than one person used the James Bond alias, right? Surely, you wouldn't want your enemies to find out your true identity, and this would be a good cover for multiple agents instead of something obvious like John Doe. Plus, it would help explain why James Bond hasn't really grown old over the decades. Okay, so we're all in agreement that James Bond can be used by multiple people. Cool? Right. So now let's apply it to this next theory. A Reddit thread started with the belief that the villain Silva from Skyfall was actually Pierce Brosnan's 007.
Well, there's a name to die for.
The reasoning is rather sound once you unpack it. Silva revealed that he worked for M before becoming a terrorist and had a close relationship with her, even affectionately referring to her as Mother. Now, who was Bond when we met Judi Dench's M for the first time? Pierce Brosnan's. And lest we forget, M said that she worked with Silva during the 80s and 90s, which also aligns with Brosnan's era as the iconic character. So, could it be? Was Skyfall actually a Bond versus Bond movie? It certainly does sound believable. And speaking of M, we can't pass off the opportunity to discuss Bond's biggest ally and greatest supporter. For decades, M was portrayed as male in the films. However, this all changed when Dame Judi Dench took the part in GoldenEye. No one complained though, since the actress absolutely nailed the part and has become synonymous with the role. But some fans believe that the new M is actually a familiar face from the franchise, and that her spot as the head of MI6 was a promotion rather than a new appointment. Yes, there's a theory that M is actually the older version of Moneypenny from the past movies. The more you ponder it, the more likely it seems.
I might have guessed.
Moneypenny knew everything that was happening around the place, including all the comings and goings of agents. Heck, in many ways, she kept the whole operation running. So wouldn't it make sense that when the last M retires, she'd receive the natural promotion to his job? Then, all she'd have to do is find another Moneypenny for her gig. You know, this is definitely the one theory that feels like it'll be proven true in the years to come. If not, it'll be a missed opportunity.
The writing's on the wall?
Now that we've shook things up a little in terms of James Bond, check out our other video that explores what the movies look like without CGI. And while you're at it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and stay awesome!